What you said before,
It was nothing.
but you meant something by it.
Look, we don't need to do this right now.
Do what? Alex, do what?
Oh, what do you want? You know you weren't here last time.
Because she told me she was fine.
I see.
What?
I didn't say anything.
You didn't need to. What is it?
She was still in hospital.
I called to check in on her.
And she wouldn't want to disturb you. So she'd tell you everything was fine.
Well, you didn't tell me otherwise.
I told you what happened. I told you the results and how shaken she was. Look, I know you called her, but
But you think I should have come then?
I think she would have appreciated it.
I couldn't get away. She understood.
Okay.
She told me not to bother.
She knows how important your work is to you.
It is.
Look, you're here now. That's all that matters.
Yeah, I'm here now and I can help.
You don't need to.
I want to.
Right, and I forgot you always get what you want.
What's that supposed to mean?
Never mind.
No, come on, you clearly have something you want to get off your chest, so let's hear it.
Let's not fight.
You're the one that's fighting. What do you want to say?
I'm just used to doing things on my own at this point, okay? Don't put yourself out.
But I came to help.
No, you came to do the bare minimum.
That is not fair.
Hence why I don't want to fight.
You know I would come back more often if I could.
Oh, don't.
You can't judge me for leaving.
I never said I judged you for that.
You didn't have to.
You wanted to leave and find something more, and you did. Good for you.
But I left you here.
No, I chose to stay.
Because of Mum?
Because I wanted to. Not everyone wants to swan off to London, Jamie.
I didn't swan anywhere.
Fine, whatever.
I have been checking in on Mum regularly. I've been checking that she's okay.
Good.
But you think I should have been doing more, that I shouldn't have left?
Oh, it's not that you left. It's that you stopped coming back.
Welcome back. I'm here with Lynne Mackie, writer of The Waiting Room. Hi, Lynne. How you doing?
Hiya, I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm jolly good in this infinite void of Zoom. So, first of all, nice and easy, or nice and difficult, perhaps. Sum up The Waiting Room in 3 words for us.
I would say family. I would say miscommunication, and I would say tension.
Very good, yeah, I think the one I definitely want to pick up on there is this, family's completely central to your play, and something I really enjoyed is the 2 characters are very realistic, very, very sort of vivid characters. Were there any real life figures you based them off? Anything that sort of inspired those 2 characters?
Honestly, no. Which I know I might shut down the question quickly, but I'll explain it a little bit. The way my brain works is I kind of start with kind of archetypes, I guess, more in a way. Like when I came up with this play, it wasn't so much like I knew a family that was going through this and it's based off that. It was more just I've had this idea bubbling around for a couple of years now, and it's changed and evolved during that time. So they started off as very much just archetypal characters of a sibling that's kind of gone away and kind of made their fortune, but had some success elsewhere, and hasn't really been involved in life back home. And the sibling like who's more of a homebody, like stayed in the hometown and ended up helping out like with their mother's care because they've been there. And then from there, when like you're actually writing the play, obviously you don't just want them to be like these archetypes, and of the one swanning in, being a bit arrogant, perhaps, and all of that. Like, and the one that's a bit like resentful and jealous. Like, they need to be real people, and they need to be more nuanced than that. And it was through actually writing it like that I kind of brought in that a bit more. And with each draft as well, I felt they got more real.
Yeah, definitely.
But because she, there you go.
Oh no, I was going to say I definitely think that's something you've achieved. So
yeah, and it's just something that, like, as it went through, like there were moments where, like, I did read throughs with people. I was like, oh, actually, one of them's coming off a bit too harsh on the other one, and it's not balanced enough. But I wanted it to be balanced. I didn't want it to be like one of them's definitely in the right, one of them's definitely in the wrong, because that's not how life works.
completely.
And I wanted that to be a reflection of life.
Yeah, of course. And I almost think there's sort of this idea of these two people are going through grief. It goes against this idea of like two perfect grieving people. They're instead, you know, they still have their own messy lives to deal with on top of what they're dealing with. And yeah, I think that's something really nice. And actually on that, I'd say, you know, I kind of got the impression that, and hopefully this is a question you'll agree with, your play almost deals more with the impact of tragedy as opposed to the tragedy itself. Hannes, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think it definitely does. Because while what's happening with their mother is very much central, it's not about her, it's about them. And it's about how they've dealt with it and what's happened. And it's also like, and so much of the focus, like for each of them, is trying to focus on their mother, but they've missed each other. So it's not even like how they've each been dealing with it. But also at no point like has it occurred to them to talk to each other. About how the other one's dealing with it as well. Because I feel like in this sort of crisis, like it's so easy just to focus on the person who's sick or the person who needs that immediate support. Like you don't think about supporting their support system. And how they're doing, like, how the people around them are doing with this news, because it's all about the person who's actually ill and needs that immediate care. And I think the very act of them sitting in the waiting room, they're not central to what's actually going on. However, like they're feeling the effects of it.
Yeah, of course. Excellent. Final question. As we reach the end of 2020, if your play was to teach us one lesson going into 2021, what would that lesson be?
I think the main lesson would be like reach out and talk to your family. Like kind of have that kind of open communication and like with each other, talk to each other. And it seems like such a small thing, but it's something people don't think to do. And I think that's something and that this year like has really brought home. I think people have been talking to family in different places like so much more, because obviously like my family aren't in London. I have no family in London.
Yeah, there was a brief period in lockdown where I think I was talking to my family more over Zoom than I have done in person for a few years. So yeah. My family, like a messenger chat has been like the most active it has ever been. Off the hook.
And that's been really great. And I think that is one of the key things of this play is like so much could have been resolved or not got to this point had they spoken to each other. So.
Very good. Excellent. Well, Lynne, thank you so much for speaking to us today.
Thank
We
you.
loved the little preview we just saw, and really excited to see the waiting room in full in February.
Yay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's hard to believe all this started with a carrot cake. It was when I found that old recipe, when we were clearing out Mum's place. You remember, you told me to throw away those old books, but that slip of paper fell out. Mum used to make that cake for everything. birthdays, anniversaries, even funerals later, towards the end. It was such a shame we didn't find it in time for hers. Just seeing that handwritten page brought back so many memories. I bet she hadn't looked at it in years. She knew it all off by heart by then. But to me it was like finding the lost city of Atlantis. Just think, if it hadn't have fallen out when it did, none of this would have happened. And I know you wanted to make that first cake for me, Sandra, just so that I could get it out of my system and we could move on with our lives. But it was too important for that. I had to do it. I know I burnt it, and you were furious at the mess that I'd left in the kitchen. But to me it was magic. I had made something from scratch. I can't remember the last time that I'd done that. So then I made another one, and another, and another. You were so sick of cake by that point, but I just couldn't stop. Each one just kept getting better. But there was still something missing. They were good, they just weren't perfect. Growing our own carrots was the next logical step. You have to see that now, don't you? I mean, I was getting the hang of things by then. And when we pulled out that first misshapen piece of orange gold from the garden, they tasted so good. All homemade, all organic. I mean, you couldn't argue with that, could you? That was your buzzword at the time. Denise was always saying organic this and organic that. It was only natural that we started to grow more vegetables. Potatoes, peas, cabbages. Yeah, or rather, I started to grow them. You wouldn't want to do that, would you? You wouldn't want to get your hands dirty, would you, Sandra? And I know you said the garden was taking over, but it wasn't. The more I grew, the more I wanted to grow. What was the point in buying all those expensive vegetables from the supermarket when I could grow them myself for a fraction of the cost? It was easy once I'd figured it out. It's amazing how much produce you can get from a small garden if you just organise it properly. Yeah, we were limited to what was in season, but that wasn't a hardship. Not for me, anyway. And I heard the taunts. You and your little friends thought you were so clever. Oh no, I wasn't losing it. I was finally seeing things clearly. So what if you thought I wanted to go and live the good life like that old sitcom from the 70s? What was wrong with that? If anything, your joking spurred me on. If Tom and Barbara could leave the rat race behind them and go self-sufficient, well maybe, just maybe I could too. I mean, not all at first. You'd still need to keep your job, and we'd need to find somewhere with a bigger garden so that I could expand. But it all started to seem not so far-fetched. The more I thought about it.
Hi, I'm here with Ruth, writer of The Vegetable Patch. How you doing, Ruth?
I'm good, thanks.
Really good. I love the little clip we've just seen. First question, nice and easy. Sum up The Vegetable Patch in 3 words.
I would say passion, self-discovery, and betrayal.
Fantastic. I'm going to allow self-discovery as one word hyphenate.
Yeah, it's got a hyphen.
It's all right. Ruby earlier said "and" as one of her words. So I was like, I'm going to let you have it. So you're cheating on the other way, but I'm going to let this slide. All right. Right. One of the things I'm going to find difficult about speaking to you about your players, I don't want to give anything away. But what I would say is, I mean, the play certainly plays quite fairly. It starts off quite inconspicuous before kind of moving into darker patches. What gave you the idea to set a story like this in the vegetable patch?
With a lot of my writing, I just start with a vague idea and just write and see where it goes. And this one actually started with the setting and then went on its way. I didn't actually know what the ending was going to be when I started, so...
Yeah, that was really good. Cool. What do you think? Where do you think your character goes next?
Again, without giving anything away, I think he would just try and carry on as though nothing had happened and go back to normal. But whether or not he's actually going to manage that is another matter.
Yeah, just continue tending to his vegetable patch for as long as possible. Maybe just digging around a little bit. Yeah, lovely. And finally, as we reach the end of 2020 and head in 2021, what's the lesson that you think we should take from your play?
It's really a story of a person who lets their passions get away with them. So I think that, yes, we should follow our passions, but we should also try and keep ourselves a little bit grounded and not delve into the realms of obsession.
Perfect. Excellent. Ruth, really enjoyed the clips in tonight and looking forward to seeing the full production in February.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello. 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 Alison, it's Deborah Richardson.
Fuck off, is it?
Oh, no, it's me. Oh, please don't hang up.
Why shouldn't I?
And miss the opportunity to curse me out in person. I imagine you've thought about what you'd say to me for a long time.
If you're hoping that I'll embarrass myself by calling you exactly what you are on record, you don't know me at all.
Please. That kind of pettiness is exactly what I advise my clients against. Look, I know you must be pretty busy at the moment, so I won't waste your time. In fact, I'll pay for it. $5,000 to the Survivors Fund for 10 minutes? You can't tell me there's not a tea urn that needs replacing or a plaque that needs polishing.
5 minutes. Not a second more.
Thank you. I have to say it's a strange experience to actually speak to you instead of just issuing statements back and forth or waiting for a news host to bat a question over at me. I feel like I'm interviewing a celebrity or a minor saint.
4 minutes 40.
All right, well, as I say, you must be very busy at the moment with the anniversary coming up. Although you have to wonder, what else is there to say? After 10 years, the facts are known. They're a matter of public record. The law was changed. It was a terrible thing. But it's in the past now. I mean, what else is there to say that hasn't been said already? Why drag it all back up again? Oh, the pictures from this scene, everybody says they were like a horror movie. A genre incidentally I've never been able to understand the appeal of. Don't enough terrible things happen in the world already without having to make up new ones? But they'll be all over the news in a few weeks.
Look, what is it that you want? Are you worried about what I'll say on camera? It's a bit late now for that, isn't it?
No, I know that's out of my hands.
Then what?
I want to shake your hand.
What?
I want the two of us to shake hands.
Are you kidding? Is this some kind of stunt?
No cameras, no stunts. It's just for me.
And why would I lift a finger to help you?
I know you're angry. Still.
Too fucking right.
But it feels like the right time. You and I have both been through a lot. Oh, it's not the same, I know, but I get those phone calls too. I've changed my phone number 8 times in the last 6 years. Someone posted my address online and they started sending me dead animals, broken glass, white powder. I haven't opened my own post in years. Did you know I was burned in effigy on bonfire night?
I saw the photos.
Photographers followed my daughter on her school trip. My cats were poisoned. I've been treated worse than a sex offender.
I'm sorry about your daughter and the cats, but that had nothing to do with us, with me.
Not directly, perhaps.
Not in any way. Do you think that's what we do? Sit around planning petty revenge?
Who needs to plan? All you had to do was show up in court each day and bright sparks on every estate in the country take up your case as their own. They can't hang a company, can't clap the board or the shareholders in the stocks. I've been a useful scapegoat for 1,000 decisions I never made, for mistakes dating back from before I was born.
So you think I should shake your hand because we've both suffered?
I don't expect us to be friends, but I hope enough time has passed that we can move on.
This isn't about you. This isn't a freak flood that washed away both our houses or some disease that made us both sick. Your actions killed my daughter and 22 more people. If that's had an effect on your life too, good. Don't expect my heart to bleed for you.
I know. It isn't a competition. Don't you ever get tired of it?
I've been bone tired for 10 years. I wake up each morning and I feel like I'm wearing boxing gloves full of lead weights. My sinews are screaming. My bones are crumbling. I ache to the roots of my hair. But what choice do I have? Not get up.
Don't you ever get tired of it?
No.
I'm here with Helen Jefferies, writer of Ribbons. Helen, first of all, if you had to sum up Ribbons in 3 words, what 3 words would they be?
My 3 words to sum up Ribbons, 10 years after.
Oh, very good. Intriguing. You've written, I think it's fair to say, two pretty vivid and realistic characters. Were there any sort of real life parallels? Anyone you sort of based them off?
There's no real people that I was kind of consciously thinking of for either character. But I mean, I think there are lots of things that have happened that have kind of fed into the way I was thinking about them. So I mean, it's not about Grenfell. It's not about Hillsborough or any of these kind of like big disasters that spring to mind. But I kind of had that kind of an accident of that kind of scale in mind, and I imagined that it would bring up a lot of the same feelings as something like that. One of those kind of just awful accidents that captured everyone's imagination, and everyone feels kind of very, very much part of it for a time, and then depending on that, how long that time is before you are able to kind of move past it in some way depends on kind of how close you are to the events, whether it's something you just think about for a week and then perhaps on a kind of significant anniversary, or whether it's something that goes on to define the rest of your life from that point.
Yeah, and on that, I mean, what I find quite interesting about Ribbons is that your play, it kind of deals with how people respond to tragedy as opposed to the tragedy itself. Funnily enough, quite similar to the Waiting Room in that sense. It's the impression I've got anyway. What made you decide to approach the play from this angle?
I guess partly it's just a very practical thing, you know, trying to show any kind of trying to show what had actually happened on stage. You know, even in normal times, I think would be just a beyond my skill. But especially now, you know, when we're having to kind of think creatively about how, you know, what we can actually do, props, you know, staging, having to be quite minimal. But I think I've always just been kind of interested in when do you stop remembering something? When does it stop? When do you stop thinking about it every day? There's a line that one of the characters has about, you know, you used to see people wearing these kind of memorial ribbons to say, you know, I stand with the people, with the victims and their families. And then one day you see and think, I haven't seen one of those for a while. And I'm interested in what happens between those points, the point where you put it on and say, I feel so strongly about it, I need to kind of publicly show that I identify with this cause. The point where you look at it and go, this isn't me anymore. This isn't, I don't feel the need to identify myself with this anymore. I can let it go, and how different that point will be for different people.
Yeah, 10 years ago, everybody was wearing those little bands to show the cause they were supporting.
Yeah,
and that sort of faded away, didn't it? All right, finally, as we reach the end of 2020, if your play was to teach us one lesson going into 2021, which we're all excited for, what would that be?
I'm slightly kind of horrified by the idea of having a lesson for any not too much responsibility. But I suppose if it's not too trite to say, it is about, you know, you have no idea what someone is bringing with them. You know, no idea what has happened to most people before they kind of arrive on your scene, and the baggage and the day and the year that they've had. So I guess it is just about being kind to people and assuming the best of them, you know, assuming that people's actions are, then people are generally not spiteful. People are generally not out to get you. There is so much going on kind of behind what you can see. Yeah, that's very long-winded, but yeah.
No, I like that. I think it's a lovely positive message. Helen, Ribbons, absolutely fantastic. Thank you for sharing some of your thoughts, and we're really looking forward to seeing the full production in February.
Me too, yeah. Thank you so much.
The 12th of April 2020. The Prime Minister has today been discharged from hospital. Downing Street said the PM would continue his recovery at his country residence, Chequers. A spokesman said, on the advice of his medical team, the PM will not be immediately returning to work. He wishes to thank everybody at St Thomas's for the brilliant care he has received. All of his thoughts are with those affected by this illness. Statistics released today show an additional 737 coronavirus-related hospital deaths, bringing the total to 10,512. It comes after one of the government's most senior scientific advisors has said that the UK is likely to be one of the worst affected countries in Europe.
Alice, are you there? Oh, it's like work, spending all day trying to work out if my internet connection's gone down. Bloody virgin. I am using it as an excuse not to put my camera on when I haven't got out of my pyjamas. I think I'm going to have to use it to get out of project reviews. Sorry, what was that you said about me being over budget? Oh, I can't quite hear you. Yeah, okay, I think, but it's hard to tell. You? Really? He does what? And you didn't know that before he moved in? Oh, well, have you got anywhere else you can go? A walk down the canal, the park near you? It's shut. Really? So there's nowhere you get to go to? Oh, it's all a bit scary, isn't it? Yeah, Claire wanted to meet for a socially distanced walk. No, we're not meant to go near anyone. And I don't believe James has stayed a safe distance from anyone. Oh, I don't know if it's rational or not. How are you meant to know? Whenever I watch the news, there's at least 3 different people saying different things. They don't know. That's probably the truth of it. It's not like they've had years to study this. It's not like in the movies, Alice. There's not just some genius who can work it out in an afternoon. I know. I haven't seen anyone, well, other than at the shops, for what? 4 weeks? It's like The Walking Dead, isn't it? Without Andrew Lincoln. And shooting. All right, not much like The Walking Dead. The end of the world's happened and we're all sat at home watching The Tiger King. Do you think she killed her husband? I don't know. Of course it's dodgy. It's all dodgy, but that doesn't mean she did it. All right, she probably did it. It reminds me of the Wild West. They're all in charge of their own little kingdoms. Now, they won't be social distancing. I've got up on Big Little Lies and I've been watching the National Theatre stuff and reading again. I've watched more theatre in the last 4 weeks than the last 3 years living in London. I know. It's all a bit of an indictment of London, isn't it? You see more of it in lockdown than in real life. I'm down to do a virtual tour of one of the museums. I know. And I finally get to read that book Mum bought me for Christmas. And I've started to work through the shelf of all those other books that people have bought me and I've just never managed to. Wolf Hall. Hard work. I couldn't manage it on the tube and I should have paid attention when I was doing history. But it's good. I'm just a bit disappointed it's taken this long to open it. Oh, we could start a book club. Go on, get some of us together, read, talk. I haven't discussed a book for years. I'll send something round. It's not the worst way the world could end, is it? Not having to spend 2 hours a day on the tube and getting to catch up on culture.
Welcome back. I'm with Stephen Balchin, the writer of Distanced. Hi, Stephen. Loved the little clip we've just seen.
Excellent, thank you.
First question, nice and easy. If you could sum up Distance in 3 words, well, hopefully nice and easy for you, what would they be?
I thought this is the hardest one. Something like reassess life in lockdown. I realise is 4 words. Can I manage that?
I'm gonna let you off. Yeah, I'm gonna let you cheat, Stephen. Fantastic. Yeah. Cool. How much did Hannah reflect your own lockdown experiences?
Not that much. So I'm a civil servant, and my work became massively busier during lockdown. So I was working some quite long days, and I've also got 2 sort of, well, at the time, primary school age children who were either fighting just outside the room I was in, or I was meant to be homeschooling them, or I was badly homeschooling them, or ignoring them. So not really like Hannah's. I suppose it was ever so a bit like sort of early September and October, where I started to go, what should I do differently in my life now I'm in lockdown and the children aren't having a fight outside? But not that much. It was a bit of what I saw in other people.
Yeah. Yeah, good. I think it was almost puts you in a better position to write it, the sort of looking from the outside in at what the world was looking like at that point. Something I'm finding quite interesting now with the pace of change this year. It's quite disconcerting that even in December, a play about the first lockdown almost feels outdated at this point. Brilliantly written. Let's stress. How do you think future generations are going to look back on that time period? And how do you feel about that period upon reflection? That first lockdown almost feels like a golden age now.
I know what you mean. There was like lots of excitement and like people going, "Oh, what can we do?" or even or immediate fear. Whereas now it just feels like people are working through, I don't know, the trudge of God, not more lockdown that people are thinking. And I know what you mean, because I thought when I was writing, I thought this is great. This is like a massive, you know, a piece of writing on the cusp of what's just happened. And then sort of 6 weeks later, I sort of heard a bit of it go, oh, this feels massively like a period piece. I think your question of how people look back at it, I think massively different depending on who you are. So my kids all sort of remember it. So I'm old enough to remember the winter of discontent and the lights going out as there's power cuts and things like that. And I think they'll sort of remember it a bit like that, but it won't massively impact on them because they're sort of getting on with life at the moment and not worrying about things. I think they'll be fine. The people I sort of think will remember it massively differently so I think about students at the moment who are sort of trapped at university, but not able to do all the stuff that you sort of want to do at university, which must be a really hellish experience for quite a few people. So I think it'll be really different for different people. I mean, I think my memory is partly just massively influenced by work. And I suppose the thing that is that really brings me back to it in Distanced is I was actually working. Some of my work impinges on sort of the headline statistics on the numbers of deaths. And so the newsreader regularly reading out those lines, that's the thing that is, I suppose, most reminiscent of my own lockdown.
Yeah, perfect. Great. And finally, and I think I've kind of asked this question to everyone, but almost most relevant to you, as we reach the end of 2020, if your play was going to teach us one lesson going into 2021, what would that be? So
there's a line somewhere, Hannah says, which is something like, I wrote it so I can get it wrong. When the shit hits the fan, what's the thing you really care about? And I think there's something about lockdown and hopefully a bit of the play, which is about either what is it you've done during lockdown, you think, I must do that more, and I've not done it enough before, or what's the thing you've really missed doing in lockdown that you go, when we get the bloody hell out of 2020 and life returns to something a bit like normal, what is it I must absolutely do and not get put off doing because of work or stress or other stuff? And we must really get back to this and take it, and enjoy bits of life much more. So hopefully that. Yeah. Perfect. Excellent. Thank you ever so much for joining us, Stephen. We really enjoyed the preview we've just seen of Distance, and we're really excited to see it in February. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you.